world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts.
Right here, if you have a beard, random men are going to always walk up to you and try to lick your beard.
Ew, that's so disgusting. Oh.
You're one of Ben's kittens.
Hold on, so I'm like, nope. Oh, well, you lost all your fleets.
Oh, fuck. Not what we intended. Oh, God. What do we do?
The Meta Show.
What's up, everyone? Saturday again, which means we're back with another Meta Show. It's going to be pretty interesting. We do have Darius Johnson here today, who has been, I think, all over EVE Online. I think anyone who, like, if anyone could say they've done everything in EVE, it would be Darius Johnson, ex-CSM, ex-CCP employee, and ex-leader of Goonsform. So, I mean, that's pretty rounded.
CEO of my heart, in fact, my mentor in CEOing, who I learned a tremendous amount from. It's going to be exciting. He and I have, of course, extremely different styles, very different personalities, which is a nice way of saying that he is funny and I'm a boring stick in the mud.
But I heard rumors that you might be stepping down and giving him the reins of Goonsform again in this show.
I think that's a good idea. I think that usually speaking, a succession should happen on live TV in a completely unplanned way when you haven't told your directorate anything that you're going to do. I think it's a good way to start off FozzieSov in general, inject a little chaos in things, step down on live TV, hand it off to Sean Conover, Darius Johnson.
Just drop
back,
the mic.
And then, yeah, all right, I'm out. Off we go. You can have Goonsform, you're in charge of the Imperium, and whoa, Hypno Kitten is huge today. We're having...
it's in your face.
Wow, massive Hypno Kitten action. That is excellent, I guess. Laz, are you going to be like clutching at your ears and going like, "Oh God, what happened to me"?
Well, the resubs don't make sounds. I don't have to clutch for those, but the new subs do make sounds, and then that's when you'll start cringing. Yeah.
So new subs make cringes. I see people in chat are noticing that I am not actually wearing a red shirt. All 5 of my red shirts that I have, they're not all red. Some of them are crimson. There's burgundy. There's maroon. There's a bunch of different flavors and shades of red. But all of them are the dry cleaners. So you get to deal with a gray shirt, which is apparently a little bit terrifying for everyone.
All right. Well, red shirts aside, I guess we can still have Mittani rants without the red shirts. It won't be as good, but we'll still go into it.
Well, I feel a little bit less rant-like today. We'll have to see. We'll get in that when we get to the CCP Please section. Tell me, Laz, on CCP Please, do we have is it PLS this time, or is it still saying actual please?
I was supposed to fix that?
Oh, I see how it is. Okay. Now, we have lots of changes going on. I'm not wearing a red shirt. I have sexy new Razer headphones, which are pretty awesome, and thank you so much for Razer for your support of our stream, as well as CCP. We've got some great giveaways, and I guess with that preamble out of the way, it's probably time for us to get stuck in with This Week in Nullsec.
Yes, This Week in Nullsec, guys. Here comes the Nullsec Power Hour, featuring the Mittani, the guy who likes to talk
Power Hour, which will last... 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, jumping straight into it, with FozzieSov right around the corner, an interesting thing happened about 18 hours ago. Progodlegend announced that he's going to be leaving Nulli Secunda and taking a step back from EVE, especially 0-0 stuff.
Man.
That's kind of a big thing.
Yeah, that's. Do you want to start us off talking about Progodlegend and his impact from your perspective as an FC? Because he was the primary in 3 FCs in the wars that we've had for some time now.
Well, for years now, Progodlegend has been one of the biggest content creators in the game, and as a Nullsec block level FC, your job in the game is creating content for hundreds of thousands of players. So him taking a step back, meaning there is one less big content creator like that, which in the game I would probably say content creators on his level probably 10, 12.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, well, there've been 2 big losses there in terms of that, and we'll get to that next. Is Progodlegend and MacTep, from Solar Fleet, both within the same week. That's it's a little galling.
Yeah, it's kind of scary, actually. I mean, for Nullsec as a whole. But yeah, Progodlegend, main FC for Nulli Secunda, and I don't think he was ever the leader. I think who was it?
No, it's always Gorga. I mean,
okay.
Usually people think of Progodlegend as the leader because he's very high profile, and he was, of course, on the CSM.
Right.
Not this session, but the previous CSM 9. PGL was the guy there.
Yeah. So him stepping back and saying. that he's going to be doing some small-scale PvP and maybe some roaming PvP, stuff like that. I guess, in a word, wolf packing would be kind of the thing to use. It's horrible, but I mean, it's kind of... I mean, and I've been doing a lot of solo PvP with streaming and stuff, and it's kind of fun, but it doesn't compare to the large-scale stuff.
Well, it is interesting. I mean, if we want to get down into the weeds here when we're talking about Nulli Secunda, Progodlegend's placement, and what's happened with that alliance, kind of like talking about the history of Red Alliance on the last meta show, Nulli has had a really interesting time, and Progodlegend has been there basically from the beginning. What we've seen recently, PL was contracted against them by some jerk who normally wears a red shirt. And Nulli ended up basically losing their space, giving up their territory in the east. In 3 as a whole collapsed shortly after PL was contracted against Nulli Secunda. And then they went to be involved in this conflict up in the drone regions between Triumvirate and Solar and Legion of Death. And Nulli was attached to that. Now, what was interesting in the last month, this Progodlegend thing, I mean, it's an important note, he's not quitting EVE, he's just sort of getting out of large alliance-scale politics and big fleets. But what's curious about this is that this is not the first major talent defection from Nulli Secunda since PL was contracted against them. They recently, I mean, Jean Lerner, who was one of their best spy guys, ended up in NC. There have been a number of other high-profile leadership defections. And in PGL's, what I used to nickname him, Piggle, and he's come on the meta show and been a wonderful guest in the past. Piggle's resignation letter wasn't saying that he was quitting EVE, but he also hasn't really provided much in the way of large-scale content for people in that position, because he's only done a handful of fleets this year. So hopefully it'll re-engage him, but it's a major loss for Nulli after a series of major losses and defections of high-level talent. It wouldn't surprise me if they are at risk of some flavor of failure cascade at this point. It's just kind of a very loud public, it's just a huge vacuum.
Yeah, well, you can't lose people like that this quickly in succession and maintain the same strength that you had before. So it's going to be interesting to see if they are able to recoup that talent and fill that vacuum.
Yeah, I don't think it augurs well. I mean, unless I'm going to go ahead and I don't want to make a prediction where I say that they're doomed or something like that. But I think they lost one of their major corporations recently. They lost Ponin Play, which is one of the most well-known and long-standing Nulli corporations. They lost their spy master, that being Jean Lerner, who is really good at things. They lost their biggest, most high-profile name FC, that being Progodlegend. And he didn't just go quietly. It ended up being a big, loud thing all over Reddit and the news media, which is partially our fault. So it's just
sorry about that.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah, no. So it's an interesting time to see that Nulli. We'll see where this corporations and that talent ends up. I suppose it's an interesting way to bring up, since they were working with Solar. Do we want to go ahead and touch on the Solar Fleet thing?
Yeah, I think we should jump into it, but let me give a shout out real quick to Battle, Porkbutt, Skeptic Nerd Guy, and Red Chief, guys, all for the resubs. Really appreciate the support for the channel, and thank you so much for your resubs.
Thank you for obeying HypnoKitten.
Obeying HypnoKitten.
I do love how large and in charge HypnoKitten is.
It's his proper place.
It is dominating everything and showing us all of these things, and it should be good stuff.
Yeah, but MacTep, Solar, XDeath. I mean, there's a lot of Russian politics. We went to a little bit of this last time, but can you give us a little bit of a recap on MacTep's past?
Okay. So, I mean, without going full on into the weeds with 10 years of Russian politics, which is what we did last meta show, you can check that out on YouTube if you'd like a recap. They have made a peace treaty, like Solar Fleet, Legion of Death, have typically squabbled over who gets what in the drone regions. Death and MacTep had a personal grudge against one another. They used to be allies back in the day when they were the 3 leaders of Red Alliance, and then when they all had their own factions making their own alliances, Legion of Death, Solar Fleet, and then Nink had Red Overlord, which is long gone by now. They had shared the drone regions in a cooperative way and rented the entire thing out. What that renting was going to, we don't formally talk about, but everybody has their own suppositions. As a result of that, and the things that we sort of guess are going on there, a lot of times these wars will end in peace treaties. because the war really distracts from the important business of renting out the space and just harvesting as much ISK as they can. So that's kind of what happened here. Like last week there was this big peace treaty where Triumvirate was granted space and blue standings by Legion of Death to be able to deal with the Solar Fleet thing, because they had been going at it for some time. And now Solar Fleet not only says we're going to stop having any kind of war, they said that the peace deal was brokered by PL, which raised a lot of eyebrows. And then in just truly probably one of the most massive bits of political news in EVE history for the last 5 years or so, I mean, MacTep stepping down and formally getting out of EVE, or at least getting out of his leadership position. MacTep has been a fixture in Russian politics and thus huge chunks of EVE's Nullsec landscape since, I guess, late 2004, even before I came on the scene.
As far back as I can remember, I've been.
There has always been MacTep. He has always been either fighting over Innsmother or, engaging in revenge against people who tried to take Innsmother, and then later when they opened up the drone regions, MacTep moved his people up there. So him leaving is huge.
For years it's been, don't piss off the Russians, because the Russians have a grudge and they always come back.
Absolutely.
And I think MacTep posted that one of the reasons he's stepping down is the EVE that is today is too political and too bureaucratic for his playstyle.
Yeah, that's an interesting, I don't really buy that. Please don't send people to my house to beat me up, MacTep. The thing about the Russian politics has always been incredibly political. There's been lots of meta stuff happening that a lot of English-speaking players miss out on because, we don't speak Russian. But there's always been a tremendous amount of politics and factionalism and schemes and metagaming and stuff taking place involving Russian politics. So it's kind of hilarious when you see somebody saying, I'm stepping down because it's too political, it's too meta, it's too whatever, and there's not enough fighting, when if you look at the actual actions of everyone involved over the last 5 years, essentially since the Great War ended,
right,
Solar Fleet is more about getting territory in the drone regions and settling in, and then fighting with death over it and vice versa. So whatever the official reason is for why he's stepping down, the fact that he is a massive power vacuum across EVE, and it's just quite interesting to see how things go. With Solar Fleet, with the grudge between Death and MacTep out of the equation of Russian politics, we have to ask ourselves, does that mean that Death is now going to be the last oligarch standing in terms of the landscape of the Russian EVE political universe?
You still have Stainwagon when it comes to Russian players.
Absolutely, and Stainwagon is a major thing. Of course, Stainwagon is in the southeast area of EVE and is usually
they're actually in Ketch right now. They're going to be fighting in C-Dot for a little bit.
That should be interesting for everybody involved. I'm going to be entertained to see that. Catch is a mess ever since Brave got out of there.
Right.
Nobody historically really wants Catch, but that'll dovetail nicely in a bit when we get to our CCP Fleece section, when we talk about the buffs to space. As of just a few days ago now, I think you're going to see a lot more action in Nullsec, because one of the things that CCP is doing, which we'll get to in a moment, is making space much more valuable and much more useful, even in regions that used to be crappy, which is something that Nullsec people have been asking for years.
We're jumping the gun a little bit. Let's.
All right, let's.
Whoa! Come on now.
Catch might heat up is the point, as well as Providence and Cloud Ring, and a lot of these regions that people Catch has just been abandoned or just left aside. You might see them being worth fighting over. So keep your eye on Stainwagon. Stainwagon, I don't think, has a single high-profile leader, which has always been the interesting thing about Stainwagon. They have more of a, I don't want to say a council because that's an insult, and they don't have a council system. But it is a group of smaller alliances, usually in the past based in Stain, and there is no one massive leadership czar-like figure like the old school oligarchs of RA, right. Nink and MacTep and Death were names that everybody who was paying attention to politics in the game.
Oh, it's crazy. Well, because a lot of people watching the show won't remember back far because they haven't been playing that long. But I mean, that was, if you think about it now, that's probably 10 years now. Whenever the time period you're talking about.
That is a little alarming. I mean, you know, the height of the Great War with the Old Red Alliance was between, you know, basically 04 and 07.
Right.
And yet, at the same time, this is why EVE is so fascinating if you like politics and you like the metagame, is that you have these events that took place and these leadership figures and their personalities, and you can only really understand what's happening on sort of the galactic scale in terms of why is it a big deal that Death and MacTep have a peace treaty now that MacTep is off the stage. You have to understand the personal animus between those two guys, how many people follow them, and all of this stuff. So even if we are in 2015, things that happened in 2007 or 2009 still move the levers of power in the galaxy today.
Exactly. Well, and that's what one of the people's biggest complaints right now is that the people at the top have been playing too long, and that's why EVE is so stagnant. And I think there is merit to that, and we'll have to cover that at another time. Because right now, guys, we're going to actually move on to our next segment. CCP, please.
Are we gonna do that and then skip the Manny and Sword drama?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can come back to it. I think our
Actually,
guests...
we'll do that in the CCP, please, because we do need to talk about the wormhole stuff there too.
Well, I also think it would be something funny to cover with Darius Johnson.
Well, that's right. We'll ask him about that because he used to be on the CSM as well. Was one of the first CSM people. So we'll get there. Let's.
So, I don't know if you saw the new intro. Did you see the new intro?
I missed it because I was busy copying and
All right.
pasting.
All right, new intro.
Play it again.
It's playing. There you go. That way, when stream catches up,
I'm like sitting here awkwardly looking at the camera because you're over here waiting to see the new intro on the show.
You didn't see it?
There we go.
Oh, okay, all right, we're good.
There we go. I got caught. CCP police. Yes. I like it. Excellent.
I think Pork Butt and Sabernathi made that for us.
That's
so.
beautiful. I love the Comic Sans. Everything is better with Comic Sans.
All right, so jumping right into it, let's start off. I know we have it ordered here, but I kind of want to start off with the E-Vegas line. You okay with that, E-Vegas?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Why don't you start us off last?
Because... All right, so E-Vegas this year, they decided they were going to change up the pub crawl. So instead of walking around to all of the pubs right there, what's that section called?
Fremont Street.
Fremont, yeah. Well, no, that's where this place is. Fremont.
Oh, right.
But there's this name for that section of bars they always go to. But this year they changed it to a bar called Insert Coin Bar. It's an arcade, has a bar, all that. And they rented it out. Only 200 tickets are going to be sold for this if they end up making it through. But the problem is Insert Coin Bar announced that they're going to be closing their doors.
Like the next day after CCP announced this.
Exactly. The next day, Insert Coin Bar announced they're going to be closing the doors, I think, even before E-Vegas actually happens. So now CCP is in a holding pattern to figure out if they're actually going to stay open, be able to recover or whatnot before they sell more tickets. Which I've got an interesting problem with it, and Alex, you tell me what you think about it.
What's your problem with it?
My problem with it is they're only offering 200 tickets, and the reason they're only offering 200 tickets apparently is because there was only 200 or so people last year for the pub crawl, but this year E-Vegas is substantially bigger because of how much hype everyone gave it last year's E-Vegas. Right. So it's going to be substantially bigger. So they're basing last year's numbers for events for this year. I mean, how is that supposed to work out? I mean, if this year if you have 200 people able to go to this out of like the 600, 700, how many people are going to Vegas for it? I mean, what are those other people supposed to do that couldn't get tickets?
Well, I mean, the thing about that venue, I think this is sort of an opportunity. I prefer a more social crawl in general, but then again, I have views about carousing and partying. Like I really I go to E-Vegas every year. And if I'm in Vegas or if I'm in Reykjavik in general, I want to get out. I want to mingle with the people who are there for whatever reason. So many fun stories in my experience come from taking EVE players and then mingling with everybody else who's in Vegas for whatever reason, like going to clubs, going to bars, suddenly going into a place that has never really had 50 spaceship nerds with a whole crew of spaceship nerds, like a cigar bar we were in a couple of years ago, and just taking over the place and being like, hey, what's up? We're here now. Let's talk about some spaceships, which is just hilarious on a number of levels. You can watch the reactions of the kind of like slick back types who are all Vegas-y and wondering what the hell are these EVE players doing here. So I think that's fun. I'm kind of perversely happy that the bar is closing, because what I didn't like about the idea, I love the idea of a retro gaming like arcade, because I think that's just awesome. What concerned me wasn't just the limitation on the number of tickets, and that might have had something to do with the capacity. Maybe the venue could only hold 200 people. Maybe that was why. But what did bother me was that it was supposed to be a just EVE Vegas attendees only kind of thing. And I think that like if you're having like a sci-fi or a steampunk bar, there's a really cool steampunk bar and restaurant in Vegas. You can go to a place like this with a bunch of gamers who are your buddies and meet other people who aren't necessarily there for EVE, but everybody who's going to be in a bar like that before it closed is down with games and retro stuff and being a nerd and having fun. So I hope that what I've liked about the crawls in the past is you get to mingle with people who aren't in our group. So I would have probably blown into that, looked at the venue, played a couple games, and then taken a Coalition of the Willing out to go, meet people.
Yeah, I know. Last year on the pub crawl, we had a lot of people coming up to our group and like, so what are you guys here for? I mean, why is this massive group of people coming through these bars and then leaving?
Also, especially when you get somebody's asking why aren't we talking about EVE, and that's a classic like meta show thing. Like the meta game is meeting people in places like Vegas and stuff like that, and forming the relationships. I mean, we were able to hire Pandemic Legion against Nulli Secunda because of relationships between Goonswarm's directorate and PL's directorate that were forged at EVE Vegas. So never underestimate the amount of impact that a couple guys drinking in a bar in Iceland or in Vegas will have upon the galaxy as a whole. Burn Amar happened at the Madison local monthly meetup that we have here on the first Thursday of every month now, because Nosy Gamer came up and was like, hey, why don't you guys, instead of burning Cheetah this year, why don't you burn Amar? And we're like, hey. So, anyway,
I think that's probably enough for the EVE Vegas for now. We have a few months before that happens.
Alas.
So, Sov devblog, PvE, and upgrades. You started hit on this in the Nullsec Power Hour, but let's go ahead and jump into it now.
I want to go ahead, and White Chocolate is pointing out on stream that I do have a new headset. And yes, indeed, check it out. Like, I've never really been a big, green guy, but, I like black and red. And these things have this awesome, blue light-up logo. Anyway,
you heard it here, the Mittani loves it black.
That's, Right. Anyway, thank you yet again to CCB and to Razer for helping support our community and to support our show. So, last time we did this section with CCB Please, I went on a little rant. And whereby a little rant, what I really mean to say is a massive goddamn rage fest, where I was talking about how there was a disconnect between what used to be CCB's old design principles and their new design principles, and this was being reflected in some of these changes to wormhole behavior and the new SOP system, just trying to narrow what players do. And then this dev blog comes out 3 or 4 days ago, and this is monumental, guys. Seriously, this dev blog is really unusual. It came as a bolt from the blue. Why? First of all, what is it? The dev blog reversed many, many months, if not years, of publicly stated question and answer, commentary, I would almost say ideology, that Nullsec was fine in terms of how much value it has. The players in Nullsec have always said that if you're going to be changing the system and make it more difficult, you need to make it worth fighting over, because there's so many regions that people just abandon and walk away from. I mean, the Imperium walked away from the entire Southwest, ditched Cloud Ring as all, and we're just like, have a region, we don't care, the space is all worthless, screw it, right? So whenever this would come up with CCP or Fozzie or any of these guys, there would always be like, oh, well, we looked at the math, and the math says that Nullsec has lots of ratting income. And the reality is that as the value of Nullsec is decreasing in people's minds, there's less fights. So, you want to pop in there, Les?
Yeah, the biggest thing here is looking through the dub blogs and everything, which if you don't have the dub blogs, I'll drop it into chat in just a second for you. The big thing that, the big change started with the mining change that they did in Mosaic, which, according to the devlog, it's added 20% extra mining to what there was before Mosaic, Which is
Yep.
kind of big. I think mining is kind of a big ISK right now in Nullsec. I'm not a miner, so I don't know exactly.
It's been, our finance team has said that it is a significant mining buff. So that was the first indication of going into a positive direction. And now this thing, this blog, which has now been linked in the chat for you guys to take a look at, just has this massive, massive, massive increase in terms of the amount of anomalies and other ways of making ISK in more poor TrueSec areas of space. And it basically keys it to a iHub-based upgrade system, which is great. In fact, all of this is awesome.
Well, a fully upgraded system can have 35 anomalies in it now.
Wow.
A fully upgraded 35 anomalies. That's up from 20. So you get 15 extra anomalies, which is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, this is incredibly intelligent, and the player base loves this. And if you go back in time a ways, there was a period when Dominion first came out where they introduced iHubs and iHub upgrades, and there was, as part of the pirate detection array upgrades in your iHubs, you could make space like Cloud Ring and Providence valuable. And this was briefly the case for, I'd say, a period of about 6 months before the infamous grayscale anomaly nerf came and basically knocked these regions back into a low TrueSec wasteland of irrelevance. During the time in which you could upgrade a region which was crappy into making it worth owning, there was wars over areas that had never had wars, real wars, before. Sorry, Providence. When I say real wars, I mean somebody actually trying to take your space for real, not for role-playing reasons. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, Provi was paved over in an instant, and then Cloud Ring was worth fighting for. It was great. So it's weird, one, to see this reversal. There was no real discussion about it. It's awesome. It's great because it seems to me like finally, after many months of arguing, the Nullsec player base has been saying over and over and over again, guys, you want us to fight over territory, the territory needs to be more valuable, significantly more valuable than just hiding in NPC space.
Well, and one of the things to point out here is it's not going to be top-down valuable. This is more money in your members' pockets, which means as an alliance level income source, you're going to have to look at taxing and things like that to be able to pull that ISK from your members.
Absolutely, and this is a thing that many CSMs over the years have been advocating for, is having a bottom-up membership structure. One of the reasons why people get bitter about alliance leadership in EVE, and one of the reasons why the alliances that are still around today and successful have the faith of their line members, is that it is in the past with the moon-based income system, you'd have single points of income that would come in from the top down, i.e. the alliance would hold moons, the logistics directors would take the moon goo, flip it in JITA, and that's how you got your money as an alliance, and then you'd have ship replacement programs sort of trickling down to the line members. The thing that's great about having a strong, buffed anomaly system, even in crappy TrueSec areas, is that the members make the money. And the income starts flowing from the bottom up, which means that it's a lot harder for alliance leaders to mismanage and thus poorly impact the gameplay of their membership. So this is just great. It's a total. Now, Laz, do we have about a minute or two for Conspiracy Zone?
Yeah, go for it. No, go for it.
Okay.
We'll
So
have Darius Johnson here in just a minute, but
okay.
Keep going.
So
I'll cut you off.
this is not going to be a 10-minute long rant because this is awesome. It's great news for EVE, and I'm delighted. And great news for our line members. It is a little weird though because I want to know what changed, because this is something that every time Nullsec has consistently brought it up over and over and over and over again. In general, the pushback that we've gotten from the developers has been that the Nullsec player base is united but wrong, and that everything is fine, and that we will keep fighting over everything because of reasons. And as we've seen, this is not the case. There's less war. People are giving up regions and not caring. Pandemic Legion has given up all of their regions because they're so valuable. So I want to know, and they're like with FozzieSov, all of the other changes that have been made to FozzieSov, there've been dev blogs, there've been community discussion or something like that. This is a bolt from the blue. All of a sudden, one day we wake up just before the patch is implemented, bam, as it were, you have vastly more valuable Nullsec, which is great. Who was the person? Who changed their minds? How did this happen from a developer perspective? Who was the person that woke up and said, you know what, these guys are right? These guys being the Nullsec community. That's what I want to know. Yeah. Why was there a change? I'm glad there was a change of heart. Who had the change of heart? Who pulled the lever? How did this get implemented? Whoever that person is smart and needs to be given the lever more often, because they actually have their eyes on the bottom line of what matters, which is player engagement, war, grand narratives, and a reason to play EVE Online.
Well,
So
you know who could probably dig deeper in depth with that for us is
maybe
Darius Johnson.
Maybe a former CCP staffer named
exactly.
Darius Johnson. That is a very subtle segue, Laz.
Yes.
I'm impressed. I like the subtlety.
I am to impress you, dear leader. Thank you so much. It makes me so
CEO.
happy.
Thank you for the prize. Well, it's great to have Sean coming on with us.
He is coming on right now.
I was about to say coming on to us, and that would be a little awkward.
Oh god, he's not picking up the phone.
It's gonna be really
There
funny
he
for
is.
sitting. Darius
Hey.
Johnson. Hey.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey.
hold on a second.
Oh my, we're gonna
knocking on my
fill some
door.
screen regions. It's gonna be awesome. Somebody's knocking on your door.
Somebody's knocking on my door. I'll leave the mic open.
So, it's that guy that he was talking about before.
It's
the
the guy
stream.
who's got the
It's the pizza man.
It's the
Yes,
pizza
yes,
man.
yes.
Coming. Okay, well this gives you a chance to fix our screen regions on the fly. Well done, Laz. Excellent.
Yes.
We're getting
Hey.
more and more like the Johnny Carson show here. And,
All right. Sorry, I'm on a computer game thing right now.
It's on a computer game thing right now. This is amazing. And then you hear the shots fired in the background. So while we're waiting for him to come back with his,
I want this jack.
oh, this is gonna be amazing. We're gonna be able to hear everything he's saying.
If you
Part of
had
me wants to talk
You don't
over.
have working lights by any chance.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
It's your best indica right now.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my, that's beautiful. You totally didn't overhear that, and
That candy jack is really good too.
this is
Jack.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I-
I'm not sure if we're allowed to stream this or not.
We're not streaming anything. We're just people are saying things in the background, and stuff is happening. We're doing it live, baby. We don't fuck around on this here meta show. This is why
I'll
we.
take these two.
Those two.
Yeah, and
He's flying a lot, isn't he?
Yeah.
California, ladies and gentlemen, California.
He's very sick.
He has anxiety. He has lots of anxiety. So the Manny thing, we're going to go into this while he finishes ordering his pizza. Just very briefly, there was this huge slap fight that broke out all over Reddit as a whole and just the EVE community, because as part of these most recent patch notes, there was a nerf to Nullsec wormhole connections, because people were finding sub-pat gameplay. This was the subject of my rant last week, which you can find on YouTube. I get a little aggravated. It's because I wear too much red, I get too upset, I can't control my emotions. But what ended up happening there was Sword Dragon, and Sword Dragon basically got blamed loudly for being the person who was mentioned in a dev blog as being a CSM member who
what would the total be with it?
fought
with that?
against or advocated for this wormhole Nullsec to Nullsec connection nerf. And then this all exploded all over Twitter and everywhere because
It was huge. I mean, for the
yeah,
past,
it was
3 days.
massive. And also now, like, Delve is getting invaded, Darkness is falling apart, because it turned
right.
into basically a personal fight between Sword Dragon on the CSM,
Better now.
Leader of Darkness, and Manfred Sidious, who is one of the most highly placed and well-regarded leaders within PL, who is also in the CSM.
Yeah, happened to us.
Sword Dragon said it was
Oh
Manny.
shit, the weed guy's here.
Manny comes over the top and says that it was actually Sort, and next thing you know, Pandemic Legion has a massive Super Capital and Titan fleet heading on down to Delve. At which point, instead of actually engaging in a war, everybody runs
yeah,
for cover
probably.
and cries and begs on Twitter. And that is basically that.
Oh my god. Sorry.
Put this back.
So I'm glad that I had an opportunity to discuss this because, this is like it's a useful test. How long can Mittens go talking about nullsec politics and things that are happening while also paying attention to a pizza deal that's taking place in the background while on live TV? I'm glad though, because now we can catch up on all the things that we were missing out on. So yes, Pandemic Legion is going down to Delve and wrecking everything if anybody would actually fight them, which they're not going to. Nulli Secunda is collapsing, MacTep is out. It has kind of that, feeling in EVE that with the positive nullsec dev blog and all of this anger, that kind of rage has been missing from EVE for a long time.
Well, I mean, like, everyone's mad that they slipped this change into the patch notes and they didn't, like, actually devlog or anything about it. It's just, oh, Aegis is here, and oh, by the way, here's this nerf to wormholes that we didn't tell you about.
15
Like,
back.
the guy in chat, I think Jim J was in chat, just said, I've gone through 93 systems and I have not found a single nullsec wormhole.
That is going to be really interesting. I mean, the thing about it is that, so there was the rant from me last week, and there was only a patch note mention of this. So in the very same dev blog where they announced this massive buff to Nullsec income, that was where, I believe it was this the Fozzie blog, Laz? Or was it, I think it's a Fozzie.
guys, I'm
I think
here.
it's Fuzzy Blog. We hear you. We hear you, buddy.
He has to get change, but as soon as he gets change, we're
priorities. So,
Thanks, buddy.
In that dev blog, having unleashed a storm of criticism from the community about how this was an unannounced, undiscussed change hidden in the patch notes. Then Fozzie's blog says that there was a CSM member and it's up to them to come out and say. Basically, the blog said, I'm not going to tell you who it was on the CSM that's responsible for this, but it was a mysterious CSM guy, at which point this unholy finger-pointing, circular firing squad and or shitstorm started. Because we're all mature adults on our democratically elected space important politician council. It was probably DJ.
Secret CSM.
He's hidden there.
Illuminati.
That's what I do. Every once in a while, I just call the shots from nowhere.
This is gonna be good. I think that you should I just see your empty chair.
Dude, how are you gonna run a cash-only business and walk into a house without the cash? That's all I'm gonna say. You have one job. It's to have fucking cash. That's it.
I love that you're waving around your dollar bills and shit.
Yeah, dude, I'm like fucking Kanye. I'm gonna make it rain.
That's amazing. Okay, well, let's now that we have a segue, are you set up? You look a little green around the edges there.
No, I'll be right back. Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm here.
All right.
Okay.
We're just going to stream a show.
Do you want to tell us about your time on the CSM? Because there was this big fight between Sword Dragon and Manny about who said what on the CSM. Do you want to educate us some? Darius Johnson?
Take care. Educate you on I
Damn it.
No, there was a big fight between Manny and Sword Dragon, but I'm not sure what the context was.
They were blaming each other as to who was responsible or who was claiming
TLDR,
responsible.
So CCP didn't name someone in something.
CCP said there was a CSM member and we're not going to name who they are, but if they want to come forward, they can claim credit for it, at which point there was this instant, because everybody in Nullsec is pissed because it's stupid.
And then they threw each other under the bus.
Yes, exactly. So, and the PL invaded Sword Dragon. What
was the thing that... Well, that helps. All the way. Speaking of weed, guys, the
wow!
Inside joke. Fucking... So
wow.
So what happened with... What was the thing that they weren't supposed to do?
Well, I mean, it's not that they weren't supposed to do anything. It's like...
The thing that people got mad about.
There's less Nullsec to Nullsec connections in wormhole space because Nullsec was using wormholes to travel around and find content all over the galaxy rather than staying in a box in a corner because small gang PvP zealots think that's what we're supposed to do. Not naming any names.
Kind of silly. Yeah, so what happens with the CSM basically is everyone's under NDA, so it's this whole contest to figure out how you can throw the other guy under the bus without actually breaching NDA. With this particular thing, I don't know which of them it was, but I'm glad that they're fighting with each other.
Well, it's nice to see some hatred, like some actual, genuine hatred. So what happened here is that PL has been looking to kill darkness for a long time. And the context for this change, the reason why everybody's pointing fingers at each other, is the Southwest, because the Imperium abandoned the entire thing after N3 broke up, has been a place that a lot of people have been going. Brave's been down there, Black Legion has been down there, Darkness has been down there, Pizza has been taking over all of Delve and having a... Oh, hey, what is that? That's...
Girl Scout cookies and Jack Herr. They asked for my pizza on the stream.
Oh, it's pizza.
It looks like good pizza. I wish that pizza was legal here in Wisconsin. It's unfortunate. It's been decriminalized in some areas, but actual pizza is difficult to acquire at the best of times.
Fucking Obama ruining everything.
Seriously. So,
well, before you continue on to that, is I talked to Manny about it, and apparently the move to Delve was prior to the wormhole gate, so it wasn't a direct response, but the reason they were moving there was because Nulli Secunda announced they were going to Delve, and one other group that I forgot was announcing they're going to go Delve, and there was supposed to be a bunch of PvP there. So PL was like, "Yeah, we're going to go there too," and then get in the PL and get into this fighting. And then Nulli Secunda said, "We're not moving there anymore," which probably has some implications to do with PGL quitting and all that.
Yeah,
Well,
what's Nulli Secunda gonna do without PGL, man?
Fall apart. I mean, John Lerner's gone, Piggle's gone, like, it's a mess. Gorga's still holding on to the fort, but he was never really a big public face. You lose your top... I mean, seriously, like, Piggle and, I call him Piggle because it's a funnier abbreviation to Progodlegend.
Yeah.
But PGL, like, he has always been a relentlessly commander, and he was a very charismatic guy, as our viewers know, because he's a frequent guest, right? Like, he's on here a lot, and he's a cool dude. But the funny thing about PL is that when we hired PL, when the Imperium hired PL to go step on Nulli Secunda a few months back, it was an interesting set of negotiations because part of PL wanted to really go step on Sword Dragon, right? Manny wanted to go just nail Sword Dragon. And Elise and his crew were like, well, we really want to step on Nulli Secunda. So the reason why Delve, I'm not surprised it was planned at all beforehand, is that, okay, so here is Nulli Secunda and Sword Dragon's Darkness in one regional area after a huge, silly, immature drama. It's like a perfect storm for some internet spaceship violence. And so I'm pretty eager to see everyone down there die a lot.
Yeah.
as soon as the patch hits, it's going to be awesome because that's going to be ground fucking zero right there.
The best part is going to be all the fucking Progodlegend's better than you when the whole changing of the guard occurs.
That's right. Oh yeah, not like I would do anything about that. It's really hard to take over as a CEO from somebody who is frankly better at you than it. I don't know who's going to be taking over.
You, but
well.
Yeah, there's only one.
It's actually kind of a thing, like, just so people know who you are. Like, you, in addition to being CCP Striegs, and you're now at a different company, you're still in the gaming industry. I don't know what we can talk about, what we can't. But before that, you were the CEO of Goonstorm Federation, and I think probably the best one we ever had. I actually have in the past gotten myself into trouble when I first took over CEOing, basically trying and failing to imitate your signature, like, burn our ships kind of aggression, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's not always easy to pull off, I guess.
Well, you just yell "fuck you, cat" a lot.
It just has to be. Well, the problem was it was natural. It was just like, well, fuck it. I just want to kill everyone, and you wanted to run a successful space organization. You certainly have way more money than we did.
Well, it's because we actually have a finance team. That's
that's one of the things that MacTep said, that there's not enough in the game anymore. Like, that's why MacTep is kind of stepping away from Solar Fleet. No, not enough. Just fuck it. I just want to kill people. There's throwing too much politics.
He's full of shit. I mean, some of it is the politics, and we have devolved into kind of a Romanesque, Senate state where
I would like to say evolved. We have evolved-ish because those who
is that because it's your fault?
There's a Bob joke. There's a total Bob joke. We've tightened our shot group because those who don't adapt have become victims of. All right, I can't even do that with a straight face. I give up.
Yeah.
But
was it victims of evolution?
Exactly. So everybody is distracted in chat by the pizza deal, but
I've said, see, probably best fucking viewers you've had ever, basically.
Yeah, of course, because you're here.
Pizza deal.
Hey guys, listen to a drug deal online.
It's not a drug deal. You were ordering pizza, and these things happen. And even if hypothetically it's completely legal because of medical reasons.
I ordered pizza, and these two little green containers fell out. I don't know what the fuck happened.
All right,
oh my. Okay.
So, I mean, have you kept up with any of the patch stuff that's going on with Eve, Darius?
The patch stuff?
Yeah, so, like the changes that are coming and
the changes that I knew, I don't know the details on the changes. I just know that PL basically took over the test server in like a day.
Yeah, basically, they took their supers and they ran around with Alliance tournament fleets.
Yeah, so the biggest problem I've had with a lot of these design decisions is since even going back 10 years or whatever when I was on the CSM, there's always been this big debate about whether Eve should stay what Eve is, which it was built to be from a core, ground-up architectural perspective, or whether Eve should turn into this small gang warfare, capture the flag type monstrosity, like fucking Counter-Strike. What I didn't like about the changes, as far as I heard, is it sounded to me like the Counter-Strike people want. Like, it basically sounded like Jade Constantine. Fozzie Sob sounded to me like Jade Constantine Sob, basically.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, just sort of leaping off on that, is kind of like the rant last week. Like, there are people who have an ideology of how Nullsec should be, and a lot of times that ideology has no rational relation to how humans actually behave in groups and societies, right? When people rage about, like, you know, friends meeting up together and going to Vegas and like having larger and larger groups. That's just how human nature is. Right. People who want to have like low-sec alliance tournament style small gang warfare, there's already a place for that. It's called low-sec, and that's where those guys tend to be. Like, if you want that gameplay, you go to fucking low-sec. It's right there. And the fact is that very few people actually seem to enjoy or want that gameplay, because low-sec is pretty much wasteland, except for faction warfare and some, you know, confessors and spiffles running everywhere.
And that was actually exactly what we said at the time. We're like, if you want to have fucking small... The problem was that if you were as uncharismatic as a Jade Constantine, you could only attract so many sycophants to sit there and listen to your bullshit all day, right? So your maximum alliance size was
Darius Johnson's a poet.
Was about 15 people. And you know, when your maximum alliance size is 15 people, your options are limited as far as winning the game. Mm-hmm. So what it really amounted to me at least, was all these fucking people who couldn't attract more than 10 or 15 people to listen to them, wanting a way to be the end game winners, which was not what the end game was ever set up to be. So this whole struggle between small gang and large gang and everything, you know, in the meantime, that's been going on since probably Eve began, really revolves around, I want a way to win the game, and I can. So I want to change the game to make it so that I can achieve some fucking merit badge.
Well, the thing is that the people who are in that sort of frame of mind, they've always been here, and a lot of times you can read what they write on, like, Failheap Challenge, which is a small, dying forum. But those same people were loudly predicting the death of blocks. I mean, the thing is, like, any sort of large social group, these guys will predict is going to fall apart because they don't understand it. And the problem is that when you have people trying to get rid of or adjust against the way that human nature works, when they don't understand it, is they're like, ah, yes, the Phoebe changes, this will make the blocks break up, and this is going to happen. And that's, you know, as societies develop, people link, they network, they make friends, there's bonds that are completely outside of the game, and you can't just turn the clock back to 2003. When we lost our space in Delve in 2010, Goonswarm went back to Syndicate, and there was all these old veterans from the Syndicate days. We were like, oh, it'll be great, we'll go back to Syndicate, we'll have our, like, we'll remember the fun we had. You can't
They're like,
go
this
back.
Sucks.
It's not there anymore.
Everyone was like, this sucks, DJ.
Yeah, like, basically the nostalgia shit doesn't work, because the reality that you once had will never come back. Things are always different. So the attitude that, like, you know, we're going to be able to just get rid of blocks because of whatever reason and turn back the clock to, you know, small groups of people that I don't even know. It's not based upon understanding of human nature, and that's why it's so frustrating to see happen.
At the end of the day, you can't change the social dynamic with a game design change. Like, and that's something that perhaps these junior folk who are professing these things to you don't quite grasp. Is that you know, you're changing a game mechanic. First off, you have a game that's spent as much time as possible being as lazy as possible and trying to push cash generation towards the social dynamic, right? You've tried to encourage. You've used words like fucking Over used to say emergent behavior all the time, and everything that makes the news is all about the social dynamic. And then you go, well, we're going to flip this bit over here, and the social dynamic is going to change. Social dynamic is stronger than anything in the game. And it's not going anywhere. So,
and it's completely outside of the client. I mean, that's the other thing about it. Like,
you don't have any
all the socialization is like happening here on Twitch. It's happening on Jabbers. It's happening on offsite servers. It's not like people, with the exception of like Eve University and RVVV, it's not like anybody uses Eve Voice in general once you get past a certain scale. So there's no way that you can really control. And the thing is now also increasingly, blocks are playing other games in an organized way together. I mean, the Imperium did it first, but we're not going to be the last to do it on a large scale.
I'll
So,
probably be better at it than everyone else, though.
well, we do try to.
If I had to take a guess.
Organization is kind of our gimmick, but like, yeah, you can't even stop it if you want to, because the blocks, these social entities that are sort of forged in the fires of warfare and EVE, are so strong because of the nature of EVE that they'll just go around from platform to platform and stick together and continue to build mass.
And that's the reason that EVE has survived so long, is the social aspect of it. And like I tell people a lot is EVE probably, in my opinion, like obviously, has the strongest and best gaming community, like non-toxic gaming community in any type of large game right now. Like if you think League of Legends, all those players are dickheads to each other, like in and out of the game. But or WoW, all that. I mean, EVE's community is much better than all those. But guys, we're gonna go.
Which is odd because it's a harder game in terms of the sheer amount of risk that takes place.
But before you cut corners on that, one thing I want to point out is that when you mention the fact that they're going to make space more valuable, and that's something that we've pushed for years, even when I was on the first CSM. One of the things that they've done over the years is consciously make decisions to socialize the cash generation. Mm-hmm. So the reason you see so many people leveraging renters is because there was no other way to make fucking money, because they purposely made design decisions to force you to have renters to make fucking money. So they took the control over all this shit and gave it away. And now, where it'll get interesting is if they're going to put actual mechanics in the game to make money. I know it's fucking a crazy idea, but if they're going to put actual mechanics in the game to make money at a level that you need to run an alliance, then they start to actually have the control, and then maybe you'll see something more interesting from a social dynamic. But just coming in and waving your dick around and saying I'm Thor, God of Iceland, and I made a tweak over here to a moon, therefore the game's going to change forever, is not going to do anything. It's going to be something that's going to take some time.
That's all right, guys. So we're starting it towards the end of the show, guys. So we're going to go ahead and roll into our giveaways. Make sure you go ahead and type in chat, spam chat, and we'll be giving away 3 Pirate Rookie ship codes, a faction ship today. I'm not sure yet. I think we'll let Darius Johnson choose what faction ship we give away. And then we're also giving a Evil Line 10th anniversary collector's edition as well, which that'll be going to our subs. So
it's awesome, and thank you again so much to CCP and Racer for helping sponsor the Meta Show and helping us make it rain on our boys and the community as a whole. All you have to do for these giveaways is be active in the chat sometime in the last 20 minutes, participate, and get loot. And
what are we giving away? What do I get to pick?
A faction ship. Pick a faction ship in the game, and we'll give it away.
What are my options?
God damn it!
Pick an Orthrus, DJ. That's what the boys usually want.
Oh yeah, do the Orthrus.
There you go. See,
that's a great choice, Darius. Thank you.
Isn't that the one we had fucking with
yes,
Elise when we got like 200 kills that one night?
Yes, that was the Orthrus.
The Orthrus is ludicrously awesome. And
nobody ever expects the fucking 100k scram.
Oh yeah,
that's why.
Really
Yep. All right, guys. So we're going to be rolling into this giveaways. Going to the first giveaway. If you do win, you need to message the channel.
Make sure you're following the channel. Yes. If you don't follow, you get nothing. Sorry, you can't be asked to click that. Then
exactly. So follow the channel, and if you win, you need to message the channel saying, "Hey, I won X," X being whatever you want. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and do the first roll here, and it is for the first 3 rolls are going to be the pirate ship codes.
Let's just do them.
Let's hit them. Is Maythorn. Maythorn is the first winner. Maythorn, thank you so much, buddy. Make sure you message the channel. Then we're going to go. They're the pirate rookie ships that they came out with, I think, a year ago or so.
You know, they're like special versions of newbie ships for, like, instead of a regular Velator, you can get a Serpentis or a Syndicate. It's a Serpentis Violator. There's actually an Angel Cartel rookie ship. There's like a Garista's version of an Ibis. I'm not making this up. They're awesome. No,
they're limited edition.
You can buy them in the market, but they're only given away. CCP gives you codes from like conventions and like packs and things like that. If you go there, you can get one of these special codes. They run for about 250 million ISK a pop on the market. So the way these codes work is you get one of these codes, and then you get a choice of one of 5 ships. You don't get all 5. You get to pick which one of these suckers you want.
We send you the code, you redeem it in the market, and you can choose.
Let's give away another.
Yes, the next winner, guys.
Whoever came up with that should be designing Saab. That's a really good idea.
It is a good idea.
Next winner, guys, is Jim J99, who's a following and also a subscriber, man. Thank you so much for the support. And we're going to go ahead and keep rolling. Skeptic Nerd Guy, one of our resubs today. Thank you so much,
Nerd Guy. Excellent.
Yes.
That's a
and
fucking good name.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if it's really him. I don't know what
I'm very skeptical.
he has to say. Yeah.
All right. Jesus Christ. All right, guys. So for the Orthros, we're rolling into the Orthros giveaway now. The winner for the Orthros is going to be Patman G. Thank you so much, Patman. And
I'm the Batman.
oh my God, please.
Beep, beep, beep.
All right, subscribers only.
All right, guys. So subscriber only mode entered.
So if you're a sub, you need to go ahead and type in the chat to win a 10th anniversary EVE Online Collector's Edition. It's a huge box. There's a board game in there. There's a mystery code to get a whole bunch of random ass free stuff from CCP. You get to have a golden capsule, and in general, it's just awesome. And we're delighted that we are able to toss these out
Hey.
to the boys.
By the way, I noticed I can't use my own fucking emoticon because I don't sub.
Well, why
Get right, nerd.
Flag?
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Give me the money.
That's some bullshit. It's got my fucking face on it.
Exactly.
All right, guys. If you win this, subs. If you win this, you're gonna have to mail the message the channel with your real life name, real life address, all that good stuff, so we can send you a physical package.
Yeah,
So,
don't send a message in the chat. Send a email message to the Twitch
No, you have to put it in the chat.
don't just you can if you want. I'm not going to stop you, but don't type your address in chat because God only knows what will happen.
all right. So the roll for that is going to be Battle 7895. No one that resubs. Thank you so much, man. Battle. Make sure you send us your real life credentials, and we'll get that to you. So,
Wonderful.
guys, we're gonna have to wrap it up. We do have a short 10-minute segment from Insert Show Name, which is gonna be new to the TheMittani.com family, and they'll be coming up as soon as I press the stop button. So, guys, make sure you stay tuned for that. And immediately following that, we'll have the Undead Zone. So, thanks, Darius, for coming on. Love you. And
Yeah.
thanks for the pizza delivery. And,
Problem. It was a new experience, I'm sure, for everyone.
all right, guys. With that, we'll see you later.
Bye.